Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the YIF Podcast. My name is Bhashwar, and I am your Sutradhar for episode 1 of what promises to be a very exciting season of recounting, reliving, and re experiencing the diverse journeys that alumni of the Young India Fellowship have had over the past 10 years. Needless to say, we are celebrating a decade of YIF, and we want you to be a part of it. So, when we were planning this out, we thought what would be a great way to reach out and make our stories known to you. That's why we have the YIF podcast for you. The YIF is a program that is arguably one of its kind in India. And to inaugurate the first episode of the YIF podcast, we have with us our alumni, Natasha, Zarine, and Pavneet Kaur, both of whom you'll be getting to know a little better over the next hour or so. They will be in conversation with Dr. Pramath Raj Sinha, founding Dean of the YIF and founder and trustee at Ashoka University. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the evening. And without further delay, handing over to Pramath.
Ashwar, thank you. I can't tell you how delighted I am to be here because by asking me to do this, you all have given me a chance to really get to know some amazing individuals through the course of this first season that I'm going to be playing host at. We are starting off with two people who I personally have great personal regard for what they've been able to do. And I will not do formal introductions because you've already read their bios, and this whole episode is about getting to know them. But needless to say, Natasha Zarine is from the second batch of the fellowship. I'm stopping to think just a little bit because I always get dates wrong. Natasha is therefore the batch of 2013. I think I got that right, Natasha, right? And in fact, Pavneet came a year later. These were the 2 years of the 3 years, the last 2 years that we were still at the Sri Aurobindo Center for Arts and Communication out in Delhi before we moved to campus. This is going to be a conversation with both of them. But what I'd like to do is start by talking about the time when the two of you first met, because you never knew each other at the fellowship, right? You didn't overlap. You came, Pavneet, a year after Natasha. So, Pavneet, tell us about under what circumstances did you first meet Natasha?
Good evening, sir. First of all, thank you for having me over. And it's great to connect with everybody here. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Sir, Natasha, yes, I did not know her before. I actually got to know her, her organization, EcoSattva, got a first prize in Maharashtra Startup Innovation Society, which is an initiative by Maharashtra government. So they had bagged the first prize for dense forest. And so since this organization was from Aurangabad, and I was posted as Chief Executive Officer, Zilla Parishad Aurangabad at that time. So Secretary RED, Rural Development, called me and he said, I want to do a pilot here. And so he connected me to her. And then I got to know that she's from YIF. And so we just met over coffee and we really connected the first time and bonded. It was amazing.
Natasha, you remember that meeting?
Yes. I don't even know if I should go into the details of it, but I remember Pavneet had to leave urgently to go meet the Chief Minister right after it. And so we rushed to the airport. But yes, I do remember that meeting. And I think what was great about it was Pavneet was very much interested in the work. She was really interested in the process. Talking to her was, because maybe the Young India Fellowship was something we shared in common, we could just get right down to talking about work and how we would work these things out and how we'd move forward. So I think it really helped us take the work forward fast, having this shared history in a way, even though we'd never met before.
And what
I
was
would really like to mention, sir, that I missed meeting the Chief Minister because of Natasha that day.
That's true. I wasn't sure if I should say that, but yeah.
It was a costly meeting.
We got so into the discussions about what we were going to do and how we were going to grow this, and how we would plan it so that it could scale, because we didn't want it to be a one-off event. And so I think so we lost track of time, and yes, Pavneet said it, I didn't.
So you're making me very curious and intrigued about, so what was this thing you guys were plotting? What did you work on together?
So I mean, one thing led to another, but
yeah,
maybe
okay.
Pavneet can go. Yeah.
What you must have been trying to do something from the government, and Natasha must be trying to do something from her social organization. So what led to this? What
right. So dense forest was a new kind of an idea. So there is this 33 crore plantation which Maharashtra government was doing at that time, but dense forest was something very different at that time. So I just found this idea very intriguing, and she told me, she showed me few forests where she had already done this plantation. I was very convinced about the idea.
Sorry, slow down.
Yes.
So you are holding what position in the bureaucracy at this time in Aurangabad?
I was Chief Executive Officer, Zilla Parishad, where you are the head of the district for rural administration. You have around 860.
You were already this is like in your 20s, and you're already CEO of something.
Yeah, I was 29 to be honest. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so you're CEO of Zilla Parishad. This must be big cheese in Aurangabad, right?
Yes.
And so what does the Zilla Parishad do? Looks after the Zilla and all the villages in the Zilla?
Yeah. So Zilla means district. So you are actually head of the district administration from the rural side. The whole rural area comes under you. Basically, there are 15 departments. It's called a mini mantralaya or mini secretariat. So starting from education.
It's like you are the chief minister of that little state.
Yes, that would be a great analogy.
And how many people were in this Zilla in terms of the population, and how many villages?
So 26 lakh population, 864 gram panchayats. I had 12,000 employees under me, and I had 15 HODs, head of department.
You are running. Sorry. I'll keep interrupting. You are running a corporation, or you're running an organization with 12,000 employees, and you said how many population of 2.6 million people, 26 lakhs.
Yes, sir.
How many villages?
864 gram panchayats, 1,300 villages. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fascinating experience to be.
Yeah, and the district Aurangabad, there are two, one in Bihar and one in Maharashtra. So this Aurangabad is 10,000 square kilometers. So it's quite a vast span also. So, but anyway, so it was a great experience heading this. Zilla Parishad taught me a lot personally. But coming to what we did together, so we started this dense forest, like I said, as a pilot first. So I helped her with getting the land.
Sorry. What do you mean by starting a dense forest? I mean, what is that?
Right. So Natasha, would you like to speak more about it? Yeah.
Sure. So I think that Pavneet said we got this award, and so what we got was a government contract to deliver our services. And the first one, what was appropriate in this space was planting a forest. What we do is we restore nalas, where you have sewage flowing through our stormwater drains and eventually rivers. So we restore that, and we use that restored water to increase the green cover of a city or town or village. That's one of the things we do. We also work on solid waste and some other things. So we got this award, and what we could do was plant a forest, because it would be difficult to find the budget wasn't enough to allow for a nala restoration and a forest. So the idea was to plant a forest to increase the green cover of a certain area. And Pavneet Kaur identified the PHC, where they'd been trying to plant trees and increase the green cover, make it a much more welcoming and wholesome environment. And it tree plantations happen, but they take time and they have their problems. So that's why we decided that we'd do this. We'd plant a Miyawaki forest. It's a Japanese methodology that's adapted to Indian conditions, where you plant native forest species. So in fact, I did an ELM with Ashoka, and we had students come in, and we went to the Gautala forest to study the various native species, forest species that are available here. And we made a list, and then we planted those in a certain, there are certain parameters on how you have to plant. And what you have is a super fast growing native forest. So in 10 years, you'd have 100-year-old forest. And self-sustaining in 2 years' time. So you don't have to keep, using.
This is one of the services that your NGO offers.
Yeah, I mean, we're a hybrid. We're a not-for-profit and a for-profit. So yes, it's one of the services we offer.
And what is the organization called?
So EcoSattva is
right.
the for-profit. Yeah, we also have the Center for Applied Research and People's Engagement. That's the not-for-profit.
So EcoSattva was offering this dense forestation technique,
yes,
which Pavneet then took to her entire Zilla or certain parts of the Zilla. Is that
right? So entire Zilla, actually we identified. So when I saw this, and in fact I planted myself the first pilot, and in my tenure of 3 months I could see the growth. Usually,
so you were like the chief guest. You were at the chief. You were the Zilla Parishad CEO, chief guest, planting the first tree and launching this program.
Right, sir. Right. So after that,
it's like
we
the
really
inspirer-in-chief. Sorry, go on.
yeah. So just that. I mean, it just needed. I just needed to see what it was, and in 3-4 months, I could see the difference. And then I just. Over a chat, I just told Natasha, you just won a prize and you got that much funds. Why don't we do it for the district? I'll get you funds. So I have around 2,000 Zilla Parishad schools, sir. So we thought we'll just pick up 100, which looked very ambitious in the beginning. But finally, we've done it actually. So we chose 100 Zilla Parishad schools where we could get that chunk of land, and we planted dense forests there.
So you created these dense forests within the precincts of those schools?
Yes, yes.
100 of the schools?
Yes, we are now, I think the 60th one is being planted. Natasha would be able to tell because I've been transferred now as commissioner.
So when did you start this program? How long?
We started at the beginning of the year, and then of course the lockdown happened, so everything got delayed. So we started.
So you've gone through 60 schools and there's 40 more to go. But this must be interesting. Actually, unfortunately, the lockdown, but the students would have been involved, the teachers would have been involved. So it would have been great for everyone, right?
Exactly. So the plan was how to get the students involved, the teachers involved. Really, it wasn't just planting forests. It was more about getting the community involved in understanding why native forest species are important, why we need to plant them, how can you nurture and grow a tree. So there was there were lots of training programs, and the teachers and headmasters did this. So we did the training, we designed the entire program. Pavneet got the government machinery into action. She got her networks to work. She got funds for, all the input costs on ground. We got the domain-specific expertise as well as, my team that could coordinate and plan things and do the trainings. And we also got a funder on board to take care of our costs so that there would be no, we could move fast. We didn't have to go through any tendering process or whatever. And that's how we could, in fact, instead of...
So you didn't do any tendering. This is YIF nepotism.
No, this is YIF, what is it called?
This is strategy.
We didn't have to do tendering because she didn't pay me anything, because I got, because we had already built, enough credibility. I could get funders to invest in actually research and training, which most people don't even want to invest in. But it worked so well because then the funder could, spend a small amount of money for a larger impact, because the government machinery was really partnering on this. And that's how, in fact, that's such a good model. We're really looking at how we can scale that further. So you can avoid the tendering, you can avoid any uncomfortable.
But Natasha, jokes apart, even with people wanting to do things free, the government often doesn't want to take favors either. So I'm sure that the trust that you had between you, thanks to the past association with YIF, probably helped in her not, she must have been, otherwise people would be suspicious. Why are they doing it for free? And, can I trust them? They may not deliver. All of those things would have possibly would have happened, Pavneet, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think whenever you want somebody to lead a project, something like this, 100 forests, but actually, it was very difficult to get funds for plantations. बोले trees तो ऐसे ही लगा लो अपने लोगों से, गड्ढे तो बच्चों से खुदवा लो और रोड के साइड में लगा लो, लैंड की क्या जरूरत है. So when we got the funds and all that, I wanted really somebody to lead this project, and because she was from YIF, I had this trust that बंदी तो सही होगी, YIF ने choose किया है तो. So she's like passionate and
did you do any ref checks on her to say कि ये ठीक बंदी है नहीं है YIF?
No, I think she earned it totally. And because of YIF, it was there was this connect, plus there was this trust, and I had heard about her work earlier also. I mean, just as a name, but when I didn't know her in person, I've never seen her or even her photographs. So as a senior in, she was an alum of YIF, so I'd heard that she's a social entrepreneur.
Well, that's a great story, and I'd love to keep hearing about how many trees you finally, how many schools you've covered. I'm sure you'll cover the 100 soon. But Pavneet, let me take you back to your pre-YIF days. And did you always want to be an IS officer? You told me you grew up in Surat, right? Started kind of the earliest memories were Surat, right?
Yeah, Surat, Baroda. I was moving. I was born in Punjab. But so, yeah. I actually did my graduation from Pune, and then I got placed in Amdocs, which is an MNC, and then...
So you were an engineer if you went to Amdocs. Computer science.
Regretfully. So, and that's why I joined YIF, actually. That was one of the reasons. So anyway, so I did not like my work in Amdocs. I was really figuring out what to do when I left the job when I was 21 and just thought, ki chalo dekhte hain what I really like. And then I went on to do an internship with Mazdoor Kisan Shakti Sanghatan in Devdungri, Rajasthan, with Aruna Roy as my mentor. It was a Speak My Case scholarship. So there, that 1.5 months of staying in a rural village, actually, it was a eye-opener. And that was the time I decided I'll not go back to IT, for sure. I mean, I realized that what was my true calling. And so I was very sure I'll come to the social sector. And then I remember listing down 4 options. NGO कर सकते हैं, social entrepreneur बन सकते हैं, politics में जा सकते हैं, IS बन सकते हैं. So Aruna Roy is actually...
So you actually did the structured thinking.
I did that. And then
but
cancelled
Aruna
politics.
Roy resigned from... you cancelled politics. Why did you do that? It's still...
I thought I was not temperamentally didn't fit my personality. I thought that it would be better.
What is about your temperament that doesn't fit, you think?
No, I just thought I'm more of a totally implementer types. I don't know, just didn't click very well with that field. And so I immediately, once I came back from the internship, I started working with an organization in Wagholi. I was a project head for 300 tribal kids from Melghat. And so that was going well when I also started preparing for civils. And I did not...
Aruna Roy, as you know, is resigned from the IAS. So did you talk to her about the merits or demerits of joining the civil service?
I did. And she was vehemently opposing and telling that you can do more from outside the system.
So you went against her advice.
Yes, I thought, let me try.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I keep interrupting you, but
That's fine. Totally fine. Yes.
Yeah. So you went to this other organization and you were working
I went
there.
to this organization. I worked there for 6 months, and I thought I'll prepare for civils, because I did feel that when you are in, like I told you about the scale with which you can work as an officer and bureaucrat. I thought that in the NGO I was limited to 300 kids, tribal kids. So I would be able to impact a larger number of people if I was in civil services. And so I started preparing, and I did not clear my first attempt. And then in my second attempt, post-pre, I happened to fill the YIF application.
And why most people dedicate themselves to UPSC prep? They would not be distracted by YIF or something else. So why did you do that at that time?
Yeah, so actually, I mean, I don't know, how to sound modest. I was a very good student earlier, and when I did not clear pre, I thought I don't want to do it. I mean, I'll just do it along with something.
So थोड़ा धक्का लगा.
हाँ, थोड़ा धक्का लगा कि अरे प्री नहीं हुआ तो आप कैसे क्लियर करोगे. So फिर I thought कि साथ साथ में कुछ करते हैं. Why waste another year? Because I've given 1 year to it. So then I wrote, and then I gave this. One of my very close friends introduced me to this program. Said you will really love it. And I mean, when he told me about that liberal arts part, and I was an engineer, so I really wanted to do that. And then I really liked the idea, and I applied. And I was on the last day of the application. I very clearly remember I was asking the time kab tak hai, and I just filled it out. And over the period of time of phone interview and in-person interview, I found out about the program, and I applied.
So you arrive on campus, and when does the pre happen?
Pre had happened. I was waiting for the results.
Oh, you were waiting? Yeah, you were waiting for the results. So when the results came, and I remember there was all this confusion कि अभी ये कैसे करेगी?
Yeah, so very honestly, it was a big dilemma because I thought whether I should, leave YIF or whether I should do it because there is no certainty with UPSC even otherwise. And I really found this program very interesting. So I thought I'll do it with it. Dekha jayega, whatever is destiny.
And this must have been in December. So that's when Kenvin comes.
Yeah, so Kenvin, for my mains, Kenvin comes. So I had, for my mains, I had requested Kenvin that I've missed only 2 lectures of yours. Please let me attend. And you know how strict he is. And he said, no, sorry. So I missed Kenvin's, yes, because of UPSC, yes.
And then when did the UPSC results come?
So they came in, March was my interview. So they came in June 12th, yes. June 12th was the result, yeah.
Did the YIF experience, you think, help you with the UPSC in any way, the interview? Or
so I think with UPSC, it helped me in terms of academic writing. Being an engineer, I really did not know what is academic writing at all. I used to get C from one of the courses, and then eventually I improved on that. And I think when, UPSC aspirants asked me, aapne writing practice nahi ki thi? I said, absolutely not. I didn't actually write essays or anything of that sort because साथ में हो रहा था YIF में. So I think it helped me a lot. Retrospectively, I feel that academic writing helped a lot for my mains.
And पढ़ाई करने में कटवरिया सराय के वो रूम में cubby holes with a roommate, not like Delhi was your home, so you couldn't run off home. So you just
oh my God! Don't remind me of that time. It was very, very difficult. It was very difficult to hold yourself back when all your, YIF batchmates are having fun, connecting over weekends. I used to go pack my luggage for 3 days, go on weekends to my relatives, study there in the morning from 5, slog it out, and miss being at YIF. So it was difficult. Yes, Katwaya Sarai was difficult with that place also. Yeah.
Must have been doubly satisfying to have cleared the exam despite all of this.
Yes, it is. Yes. Eventually, retrospectively, it looks all good.
Would you love to do the YIF again and not have to go through all this?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Natasha, you always wanted to do what you're doing now. You grew up on a farm, you told me.
That's right. Yeah, I did. I grew up on a farm in a small village called Raipada. And I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew while living on that farm, exploring the village and the area with my best friends who were really the kids of the people who worked at the farm. I saw the disparity in the economical disparity. I also saw gender dynamics playing out. And I saw how the rivers were polluted and there was garbage and how it affected different economic people in different economic strata differently. And that really, it bothered me. And I wanted to do something about it. I knew that when I grow up, that's what I want to work on. I didn't know how. I really had no exposure to anyone, from the civil services or any entrepreneur, forget a social entrepreneur. I was in that small village, which I loved, and I'm very grateful for it. So growing up, I didn't know what I would end up doing. I studied psychology and I interned at the same time. I didn't like didn't like what I saw in practice. So then I was like, I take a year off and go to the Andaman Islands and work there as a resident naturalist. And I did that. I liked the work, but I couldn't handle the, I don't know what, politics of the place. So I come back to Mumbai and then I'm like, no, now I'm going to do a professional degree. I want to be taken seriously. And so I study law. And I'm like all into it. And a year or two into it, I'm again disillusioned because I'm going to the courts. I was interning with a really good law firm there. But I was shocked at the practice, at what we were learning and the practice. And I kept feeling like it wasn't taking me closer to what I really wanted to work on. It kept seeming to be like a deviation. And I didn't even feel like I was getting some skills to be able to do something on my own. So by the end of it, I was really a confused mess. And I really was looking for a real education, something that could give me some guidance, some clarity. And that's when the Young India Fellowship happened. I mean, when I read about it, I was like, this is a dream come true. I didn't think I would get through. I remember the interview I had with you. I was quite dull and boring. I'm amazed that that I was selected. But
how can anybody believe listening to you right now that either of you are dull and boring? But anyway.
Well,
by the way, you were one of the first fellows who was married, right? You had already been married at that time.
Yes, I was married a year, almost, yes.
So how did you discover the fellowship?
How did I discover the fellowship, as in once I was at the fellowship?
No, I meant how did you find out about it?
A friend shared it with me and said that he thinks that I need to apply for this. He thought
this is the place you can find yourself.
Yeah, something like that. Yes.
So Pavneet came there as kind of a backup to her IAS, UPSC aspirations, and you came here to really kind of figure out life.
Yes, and really it was, I think I said this to you also, like, why do you want to do this course? You had asked me, and I said that this is really, I think, my last chance at a real education, because I was sure that I wasn't going to go and study or do a master's.
Do you know that is a school book answer if you are interviewing with me?
No, at that time I didn't. I still don't. Yeah. Yeah.
You basically manipulated me to get in. I get it.
Or maybe you thought that's why I thought it was dull and boring, because clearly you were not impressed with my answer. It was a school book answer. So, but yes, but I meant it, and I think that's probably what you saw.
No, you've always been so authentic. So what happened during the year? How did you discover what you wanted to do?
It was extraordinary. So I remember it started off. The first sem was extraordinary. We had Shakespeare and the World. I had tried to, understand, explore Shakespeare before, and thought, this is not for me. And even now, today, I remember and learn lessons from that course that we had. Shakespeare and the World was extraordinary. It completely changed my view on so many things. So I think it started with that. And I remember I had a bit of a run-in with you. In one of the first town hall.
You know what it was about? I remember what it was about.
Do you? It was multiple things, but I do remember.
You were very pissed off about the quality of water you were getting to drink, and there was some contamination. No, it had to do with the courses. Something.
No, I remember what it was about, but I think let's not go into that.
No, I would like to remember. How can I forget?
It was all these things. But I think the more important thing was you really. I was very confrontational.
Yes.
And I wasn't. So I had a point to make, but the way I made it was really not okay. In hindsight, at that time you pointed that out and you kind of put me in my place. It hurt, and I held on to that for a while, until I think after the fellowship, when I really reflected on it and and actually learned that was a lesson. And I think that's what's made me able to handle all kinds of conflict situations and get my way and my views through without antagonizing and pissing people off. So even that taught me something.
Well, I'm sorry to have hurt you, but I do remember that, and I do remember it very fondly, because I mean, I was always I never held that against you. Obviously, I mean, these things happen, and it was a tough year. I think everything was failing. I think that's why you were frustrated. Many of you were frustrated, and you were leading the morcha. You know that kya ho raha hai ye type of thing. Wonderful. So let's talk about the journey post the YIF. Pavneet, talk about your IAS experience and what it has been like. How many years now in the service?
6 years, sir. 6 years in service.
6 years have gone by. Well, of course, we are 10 years old. So obviously 6 years have gone by. So you go off and you do what? 2 years of training and so on. And then...
Right, sir. So Masuri training, and then post that probationer in Bhandara, which is in Vidarbha region, very close to Nagpur. And so you allotted a cadre, right? So I was born to Maharashtra cadre. And then I did my first independent posting as project officer, Jawhar. That's a block in Palghar district of Maharashtra. So it's a remote tribal area, 98% tribals there actually. I had 2 charges, subdivisional magistrate and project officer, Jawhar. And then after that, I came as CEO Zilla Parishad Aurangabad, and now currently I'm posted as Commissioner Tribal Research Training Institute, Pune.
Okay. And so far, happy that you made the choice to go into the UPSC and the civil.
Very happy, sir. Very, very happy. Yeah.
And what's in store for the future? What would you love to do?
So I think upcoming, sir, is collectorship. We will be getting collectorship in, say, 6 months now. And my batch will be getting that. And then let's see, post that, what's in store. I would like to probably specialize in one field. Yeah.
You're not sure yet what?
Mostly education. Let's see, sir. Yeah, open to
Oh,
that.
yes, you must. If you can do something for education in this country, it will be absolutely valuable. When you get one of those big collector bungalows to live in, please invite me.
I will definitely. Yes.
And Natasha, what's happening with you? What was the journey post YIF like?
So post YIF, it was really about how am I going to start working on the matters that I really want to. So I moved into Aurangabad, which is where my husband's from. It was a conscious choice. I decided to do that. I didn't know whether I'm registering an organization, whether I'm going to work with someone. I had no idea. I just knew that needed to start working on solid waste management, one of the civic challenges, and the other civic challenges too. In fact, I think my batchmates were sick of me bringing up this topic in like every course. So I really got into it while I was at the fellowship. And then, decided that
solid waste management kahan se aa gaya? Katwaria Sarai mein you saw garbage lying around. Is that what inspired you, or how did the solid waste management land into your head?
So I think it was always there, kinda. It seemed, it wasn't just solid waste. It was a bunch of problems that I felt like, why are these there and why haven't we solved them there? And solid waste was one of them. And it seemed like a problem that could be solved somehow. It seemed like I didn't need to be an engineer or whatever, I didn't need to have any very specific expertise. So I could start working on that. And when I moved to Aurangabad, it was the most apparent problem, one of the most apparent problems. There was the service level benchmarking that used to happen then before the Swachh Bharat. Even the data showed, and that's another thing, right? At the YIF, really, does the data show that this is a problem? Does the need assessment show that it's a problem? Yes, it does. So, okay, let's look at this. And so really just dived into figuring out what the problem was, defining it, understanding it better, and started to see solutions and started to see gaps that seemed to have not been filled before. And in fact, at the fellowship, standing up and asking you questions gave me the courage to kind of go and talk to the municipal commissioner and say, sir, this is the problem that we've seen, and we think this is how it can be solved. Here is the report. And actually, we were very, lucky. We had a great municipal commissioner at that time, Dr. Kable. He said, okay, I like your ideas. I like this report, but what am I going to do with the report? It's not going to change how my systems work. I have people who've been working here for the past 30 years a certain way. If you want this change to happen, are you willing to do it? Are you willing to show me how this report will work on ground? Can you do a pilot? And so we did a pilot, and that worked really well. And then we got a ward to work in, and that worked really well. It's really, the idea was to partner with the government body. So we used the government machinery, the government vehicles, labor, and we organized those systems to really fill in those gaps. And we developed what we call the BOTRAM process of solid waste management, which we then applied to 14 other urban local bodies. And in fact, even in Buenos Aires, we trained an organization there. We worked with McKinsey.org. And in Denpasar, Bali, we were one of their 4 partners from around the world, their design partners. So that's how solid waste, the idea was we were going to, identify civic challenges and build solutions. And then, they should be able to work at scale. We didn't think we would be an implementation organization, but that's what we got into because that's what was the need on ground.
You just had to get it done.
It had to get done, exactly. And there was no other way then. Now we're looking at training others, like we're doing our scaling model is based on a social franchising model where we're trying to train others in the process so they can deliver it. And we found that the government is willing to pay for these services. So there are tenders that you can bid for. And it's in fact become a little industry, which this tender didn't exist before. There was a collection tender and a treatment tender, not a BOTRAM tender. Now there is.
So you brought in a new technique to solid waste management. You think in Aurangabad, is that what it is now?
Aurangabad and other urban local bodies.
So are you working across other local bodies as well beyond Aurangabad?
Yes, and in fact, even that happened very organically. The ward officer from Aurangabad got transferred to a town, and he was the chief officer of a town. He said, "I want that solution here." That's how we worked there. And then his batchmate said, "Okay, we want this in Ratnagiri," and so that's how we continue to work in different.
How many districts or urban local bodies do you cover now?
14. We've covered 14.
How big is your team?
We're 50 people full time.
Wow. And the funding comes from the payments that the government makes for you to manage this solid waste.
Yes. So we have, like we said, we're a hybrid. So the not-for-profit, if we're doing work for, a company that has an interest in a specific town or district, then we get paid through CSR. But if we're working directly for the government, then we get paid by the government.
And what do you do with all this waste?
So what we do, so the waste is really one part of the entire thing. What we do with the waste is we get the informal sector integrated into the formal system. So maximum recycling that's possible through the informal sector gets done through the informal sector. Of course, now we are also providing connections with formal recyclers. And we also look at EPR partners for co-processing of the reject waste. And then, of course, for the organics, we advise on composting or biomethanation. So
you're making sure that they are being dealt with in the appropriate way rather than getting dumped somewhere. And so
absolutely. So
another landfill.
90% of the materials, the waste materials in the urban local bodies that we work in is diverted from the landfill. So
and so how many tons of waste are you handling a day?
Oh, that's a great question. I'll have to do a mental calculation to come to that. Do you want me to do it right now?
No. No, I'm just curious. It must be a staggering number across 14 urban local bodies with 50 people. And you must be having a lot of infrastructure and trucks and stuff to move all of this around. Or you lease those or the government provides those?
Those are the governments. So the truck, the labor, they all belong to the government. The government provides this as an essential service. We plan it and we organize it for them.
Right. Got it. Fascinating. Wow, both of you are, I have so many questions I could go on, but I do want to come back where we are today because I do want to take questions that Karan and Bhaswar and Varsha are helping us with. COVID has been amazingly disruptive in all our lives and must have been disruptive for both of you, given what you do. And given what you do, you have to respond to COVID. You can't just So what all have you been engaged with during these times? And maybe Pavneet, you can tell us, I'm sure you have to deal with this on multiple levels,
Yes.
given your role in the government. So share some of that with us if you can.
Right. So I currently am posted as Commissioner TRTI, which exactly doesn't involve dealing with COVID, because it's a side kind of post where you don't have to deal with health, or the collector and the district administration usually has to do this. This is a state level post. So, but looking at the migrant labor crisis, I really was very moved by it, and I kind of pulled myself into it and helped the state, and in fact helped coordinating with various state officials for organizing trains and buses. That was one part which was done. That was most of it voluntarily, in the sense that it was not an order of the government, but it was so moving that you had to be there for them. The second thing was that I was recently involved in capping the private hospitals who are charging exorbitant bills to COVID patients. So Maharashtra government has come out with a notification where there's a cap to private hospitals. Of course, there are reasons why they don't follow that. So I was appointed as a nodal officer for Pune city to take care of that. So we built in pre-audit teams at the hospitals, trained them who sat in the hospitals before giving bills to the patients, and we could save at around 3 CR of the patients themselves, where the hospitals would have charged that much. So it's still an ongoing process. We are doing that. We had pre and post-audit teams. Along with that, I was helping in the beginning with the bed management for Pune city, where it's across India that there's a paucity of beds for the patients. So it has been really challenging because of this pandemic being very unpredictable. Like Pune was following Mumbai model, but then Pune is behaving differently in some ways. So it has been very challenging, but very satisfying also.
So are things still bad in Pune?
They are so quite bad, yeah.
And is this migrant population has it all moved
Yes.
now? Is that
it's all, yes. Everybody has moved now, yeah.
Okay. And did you and Natasha collaborate during this time? Because I thought she was also doing something with migrants. So were you guys again doing something together?
Yes, so actually I was of course I'm helping out the state with coordination, but I was also helping out a few other groups, like because there's one migrant travel support network, which was an initiative started in this period itself. And there is Coast. I don't know if you've heard about a group of individuals, Coast Relief. And then, Natasha called a few times for coordination, and I helped her, just a very small thing though. Yeah.
Natasha, what have you been up to?
Yeah, so the lockdown happened, and before the lockdown happened, we were really planning for what we would do with our sanitation staff, like the waste pickers, the sanitation staff. How is this going to really affect them? And that's what we were focused on. And when the lockdown happened, and it wasn't clear whether we keep the material recovery facilities running or not, whether that exposes them to the virus or it's an essential service. There were all these complexities, and we did decide to stop the centers, at least until we figure out what would happen next. And the focus really was on how to ensure food security for waste pickers, not just the ones who are associated with us, but even the others, because the recycling industry came to a complete standstill. Logistics were at a standstill, recycling was at a standstill, so there was no money coming in. And so the focus was on raising funds really to get families to have their monthly rations, because most of them were not even connected to the ration, to the PDS. That's why we connected with a collector to get our, not just our waste pickers, but all the waste pickers, at least 300 of them, connected to the PDS system. Again, I think having worked on ground and having built some credibility, we did get the collector really helped out. And got those ration cards issued very fast for the waste pickers. And while we were doing this, we just came across people walking for, like, what we'd seen on TV and read about was right in front of us. Entire families with little children with whatever they had, their belongings on their heads, walking in that hot sun, and nothing. Many of them didn't have footwear because they'd walked so much they'd broken their footwear. It was really I still don't know how to make sense of what we saw and what happened to all those people at that time. So we knew that whatever we could do, we would have to. And connecting with the collector to try to organize transportation, also connecting with local, lots of people, really lots of people came forward and worked together. So for shelter, because people needed to be convinced to stay in one place, wait till we organize transport. And we started asking for private, try to raise funds to book buses and get those permissions going. And then, followed up with the collector and got MSRTC buses started. And then, of course, the trains also, because the buses would go only to the Maharashtra borders. The trains needed to go beyond to Bihar, UP, Orissa, West Bengal, and in fact, I remember I reached out to you when we were having a lot of. There was just utter confusion. People didn't know if the permissions were being granted or not, whether you had to pay for the train or not. There was complete confusion, and it was amazing that when I reached out to you, you not only said, okay, go ahead, we'll raise the funds, and you also helped with getting the permissions, at least the clarification of the permissions needed for Bihar, which I reached out to you for, and then the officer there helped us get the permissions for Lucknow too. So that really helped, and we did whatever we could at that time. The idea was just, this is a complex problem that needs all hands on ground, and so we were there. And I called Pavneet in the morning. We sent the first bus. When it ended up at Burhanpur. And the guy calls me and says, we've landed here, now what do we do? And we didn't know where he'd landed up, what his location was. And that's when I called Pavneet to ask if there was some connection. Does she know someone in Burhanpur? And she managed to connect with the collector and organize the onward transport. So
what a great partnership the two of you have, and hats off. Very, very amazing story. And I know that you called me, and I still remember how perturbed you were. I have to say that what you both have been doing is quite outstanding. Listen, I'm going to shift to some of the questions that are coming from the audience, and these are for different people and some from both. So first one to Pavneet from Aditya Arun. What has been some of the most influential lessons that YIF has taught you, and how have the lessons helped you become a better bureaucrat and serve the people of India?
Okay, this looks like an UPSC interview. So I think with YIF, I chose this program because two things. One was liberal arts really attracted me. The concept of 23 different subjects in 1 year, where you've not even read about some of them, the applications. But what really, I think, which has stayed with me, there is extremely diverse crowd. I have never seen people vehemently arguing and then being best friends. I had not seen that. I always felt, I wish my college or school was like this. It was so open. As a bureaucrat, I think it helped develop, be probably more sensitive and tolerant to other person's perspective. You meet bureaucrats after 10 years, and I think that you find people rigid. I feel that the system does that to you. But being open to other people's views, agreeing to disagree, I think that was one of the most influential lessons. Yes.
Thank you. That's very perceptive. And actually, that's such a big hallmark of the program. People do argue and debate and fight, but the friendships and the associations are amazing. Natasha, this one is for you from, we don't know who, but it says, how did it feel to meet the German Chancellor? Yeah, I forgot about that. There was pictures of you with the German Chancellor and some other very famous people. Can you tell us what it took you to get that opportunity?
Yeah, I think just luck. And being in the right place at the right time, which is luck, right? We've done some work before for GIZ, and we've done a
Yes, that is
solitary.
the German,
Yes,
the funding agency.
yes, and so they sent out a little message or application to all the people they'd worked with, saying that the Chancellor is may be visiting India, and she would like to meet women who are working in the space of ecology and in the development space. So there were some 2-3 questions which I wasn't even sure if this was like a legitimate uh, if this was really happening, but I filled it in and sent it anyway. And lo and behold, I was maybe because I was the only one who maybe applied from a smaller city, I don't know. Yeah, I was called for this meeting. I was told on the 30th or 29th that she is arriving, and we'll have a meeting on the 1st. And it was absolutely one of the most incredible experiences of my life. I'm very grateful for the opportunity, and I think there was a slight YIF role in this too, actually. so yeah, but I think it's a long story. But yeah, it was an incredible experience. She's an amazing person. I was definitely a little bit overwhelmed by the experience of it, but it was incredible. I don't know. I don't know if we have time to go into the details, but she's
Well, we
definitely.
may come back, but there are some more questions, so let's take that. But
Yeah.
I mean, but you earn your luck, luck just doesn't happen on its own, as you all know. So there are a couple of questions, or a bunch of these questions, which are for both of you. So I'll just quickly go through them so that we can cover as many of them as possible, and you can both answer. Let's do like a rapid fire. Can you suggest one habit which one can implement in their early 20s to expand their spectrum of knowledge? One habit.
Wake up at 5 a.m.
Is that what you do, Pavneet?
I started doing that.
Wake up early?
Yes.
You sleep early too, I suppose?
Yes.
I
think that has been a game changer, actually, for me. I mean, I was the one who used to get up at 8:39, recently got married, and my husband gets up very early, and I used to sleep off. And now I've started getting up early, and it's really amazing. I think that's changing a lot of things for me. I think if that can be done in the 20s, I think it will be a game changer. Just try it. It says that it takes 66 days to develop a habit. So I'm in that experiment, and I think it's.
And what is it? It just gives you more time to yourself, to think, to read. Is that what does
more
that?
Time for yourself. More time for yourself. Yes, to think, to read, to plan for the day, to have it all organized. Because I mean, as a bureaucrat, I personally it's super busy. I'm like it's like there are things coming onto you. You don't plan your day. There are things coming on you when you are like into kabhi kisi ka. I mean, there are too many urgent and important things that you have to take care, and that you don't get to drive the way you want it to. So you need that time, that thinking time, to plan.
Natasha, one habit.
I think the habit really is to get rid of the fear of failure. So to keep doing things, taking risks, and failing also, and just and succeeding, and getting rid of the fear of failure and embarrassment. I think that's what the fellowship also helped with. There were so many oopsie moments and so many but that's what really gives you, I think, helps you dip into your own source reserves of courage. And I think maybe just
the failures provide you the best learning, right? The successes don't give you as much learning as the failures do, and I think you're a good example of that. The many things you did and struggled with. Thank you. Simran Parmar and others say, how can we contribute to your inspiring work? Can one contact you for volunteering opportunities?
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, both of you are open to that, right? Question
Please connect.
From Simran Parmar and Priya Kumari. How can we contribute? Oh, sorry, that one we covered. This was also from Priya. Okay. Again, a question to both. What advice would you have for someone who aspires to join the YIF next year? Yeah.
Go
Any
for
comments?
it. Go for it. Don't think twice. It's going to change your life. So go for it.
Completely agree. Amazing journey. You will love it. Don't have this dilemma. Leave civil services preparation. Do this first, and then do civil services.
Yeah, the head start you get at going through the Young India Fellowship, there is nothing like it. I think, I don't know. At least that's what it was for me.
Yeah, I think it's not for only people who are confused about what to do. It is also for. I mean, it's amazing. I think there's no doubt. Yeah.
If there was so we are done with the questions. So maybe I have a question for the two of you. That if there was something the fellowship could do for alums, 6 years, 8 years, 7 years, 6 years, 10 years out, 15, 20 years out, what could it be? Would there be something that we could do that could be valuable to the two of you?
I really think we're thinking of what we can do that's valuable for the Young India Fellowship. I think that, I don't know, that's the conversations we're having, right? Like, we've got so much and we continue to get so much. So we're thinking of how, I think 20 years down the line, if I still thinking of what we can get from the fellowship, I would be a bit, so we're thinking of, I think just how to connect more, how to be more connected. But really that's on us. So maybe more channels for being connected.
Pavneet is also nodding her head on that.
Yeah, completely agree. I mean, I was going to say this, that a lot of, YIF people want to connect, but they're like, chalo karte hain, dheere karte hain, and then it just reh jata hai. So I think if, like Natasha said, it's on us, of course, and there are chapters in various cities, and it's run by few people, some people initiated. But I think if the fellowship could do that more aggressively, I think, to connect people with what fields they are in and everything, and if that could be a same 3 monthly, quarterly thing, I think that would help more.
Yeah.
Natasha and Pavneet, I want to thank you both for this hour. I want to tell you something that I really mean. I think this has been one of the most inspiring sessions I've done. And
Thank you so
much. I go back to 10 years ago, and when we were starting this, and if somebody had told me, I'm just having a little bit of a goosebumpy moment, because if I go back 10 years ago and somebody had told me that I would be in a call with these two amazing women, and this is what they were doing. I mean, forget about the fact that we are on a webinar and all that. That's technology, but just I feel very humbled in the presence of what you all are doing. I mean, you are so passionate. You've already had so much impact. Yet you are so caring and humble. I don't think there could be a greater reward for doing what all of us have done in building YIF and Ashoka. So thank you for sharing your stories, and keep doing great work. I want to have you back for an episode in 15 and 20 years and 25-year marks if I'm still alive. But very inspiring what you're doing, and you should know that. If you ever feel a low moment or feel like you are struggling or up against, I'm telling you, what you're doing is really, really worth it. All the power to both of you. Thank you very much for spending the hour with us. And I look forward to staying in touch. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for believing in us. Thank you for putting in the energy and the time in us, not only during the fellowship, but after. Thank you for being so approachable. I know that I message you asking for these things when we really need them.
Anytime.
Thank you.
All the best, and stay safe. We are still in the middle of a major pandemic. So look after yourselves, your parents, your families, your workers, your employees, and again, good night, and good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, sir. Bye, Nats. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And please join us again next Saturday. I think we are going to do this at 7 o'clock. Today we had to do it at 8 because I had a meeting before. But great to have you all, and please spread the word, and let's make sure that as many people can join, can come. Thank you very much. Bhashwar, are you going to come back on, or are we going to close? We can close. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Good night.
Good night, sir. Bye.
Thank you.